Mornings with Matt and Bob, as promised. Well, I'm going to give a little bit of an introduction. I want to make them uncomfortable. Comics usually don't like a lot of compliments, right? They get timid.
Oh, shucks,
even though people go,
right.
well, they must love attention because they're on stage all the time. But during COVID, when I couldn't really get my stand-up fill, one of the dudes I started checking out a whole lot of that was doing a really good job of putting this stuff out there on social media was Dusty Slay. And I was like, my God, I really like this guy. And then I started going through files, and I was like, I don't know that we've ever had him on the show, and I don't see that he's...
I don't know how we missed him.
I don't see him in Austin. I want to be able to reach out and just interview him for something.
His
and
bucket
then
list.
it fortunately worked out that we got him on. Dusty, good morning to you. Really stoked to have you on the show this morning. And welcome to the show, man. How are you feeling this morning? You good? You're good?
Well,
We're solid?
We're having a good time. I feel great. I love compliments. I appreciate it. I mean, I'm pumped to be here.
Look, here's this question I want to ask you, because had you come to Austin before?
I've been to Austin a couple of times. I opened for Bert Kreischer at the same theater I'm about to do.
Right, the Paramount.
And then I did Caps. What is it?
You did Cap
I
City?
did Cap City, but I did it during the Moon Tower Comedy Festival.
Okay.
All
So
right.
then that's the thing. That's why I couldn't, because we've been having comics on the show over and over for 30 years, right? And so we try to keep a note about, people coming through as headliners and stuff like that. There was a significant change for you in your career, I would say, in the last, 2 years. Do you agree to that, or you disagree with me?
Yeah, I mean, well, it was starting to happen in 2019. Things were really starting to shape up,
And then
I was
the
booked.
world shut down on you, right? Right as you were
Yeah.
getting some liftoff.
Yeah, I was booked at Cap City to headline, and we were unsure if the country was going to reopen, and it was like, so we're like, all right, is it going to reopen? Is it going to reopen? And then all of a sudden the club shut down completely.
Right.
So,
Okay, well, and which sucks, but you are one of the people that I've seen who's done a magnificent job of then pivoting and kind of using a lot of the web to not only keep yourself going, but actually, I think, to even elevate your career in general. Was that by accident, or did you make a conscious choice on that one?
well, COVID is what happened.
Right.
I filmed an hour, it wasn't a special, but I filmed an hour of kind of some old jokes.
Okay.
And then COVID happened, and my friend was like, I thought TikTok was stupid. And my friend was like, you should get on TikTok and start posting videos. So I was just like, well, I got nothing to do. So I just started doing it, and it started going great, and I really got into it. I learned how to edit videos. I learned how to do all that sort of stuff. So I already have been in the habit of filming every set that I do since I started comedy. So I film every set. So if anything happens that's fun, I got it. I can come in. I can edit it out, put it on the internet.
You're doing a great job. And also, it's funny that you mentioned that too, because comics careers can be a weird thing. Are you familiar with Leanne Morgan?
I love Leanne.
Okay, so Leanne's one of our favorites, and we've been telling her for years, you're a star. The world just hasn't found you yet, and they haven't figured out what to do. Hollywood wants you to be a tiny, bubbly 22-year-old girl. They don't seem to care, right? And I was like, but you're going to find your audience. You're going to find your audience. Kept telling her. And she made kind of that same transition right before COVID as well. Mm-hmm. And now, I mean, we couldn't be any happier for her because she's selling out theaters, she's getting
Selling out
movies,
arenas.
and she's an incredible. And you guys are not far from each other. She's like in Knoxville. Are you Tennessee as well?
I live in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay,
yeah.
well, but that's a fantastic city right there. Bob went there. He said the only warning with Nashville is that you got to bring plenty of baby powder for your nutsack.
Or what is it? Cornstarch or whatever.
Cornstarch is what I use.
Hey, Dusty, I'm reading your bio. I'm reading your bio on your website, and I when I'm reading comedians' bios, I'm never quite sure if they're writing it for effect or if what is in here is true. There is a lot to unpack in your bio.
Well, it depends on what bio you're looking at. I mean, I don't know.
The one where you were going to
there.
join the Army at 19, but was foiled
yeah,
by
that is
arrest?
yeah. That's
So
true.
we can't thank you for your service, but we can thank you for your drinking, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, well, you could thank me for my attempted service.
There you go. That works. That works.
Well, I was just living in a small town, and I liked my town, but I was living there in a town called Opelika, Alabama, and I was working at a Western Sizzlin', And I really just wanted to. I'd already tried to go to community college, and I hated it. I stayed in there for like 2 classes, and I just wanted to get out of my town. So I joined the Army, and then I got arrested for underage consumption of alcohol and possession of marijuana. And I wasn't drunk, and the weed wasn't even mine. I know it's never anybody's, but it really wasn't mine. And so I missed my ship-off date.
But I feel like they would send you to officer training. I mean, knowing the Army, seems like you're. But
I think there could have been some kind of trade-off of still going to the Army, but I would have lost all my stuff. Like I had a signing bonus, and I had all these different things.
Oh.
But I would have just kind of went straight on in, and I was like, well, I don't really want to do that. I have money coming my way.
It wasn't really about the service as much as it was about a check and getting the F out of where you were.
Well, I'm not trying to be a hero. It was never about the service. I mean, I thought this was 2001. This was early 2001. I was very foolish, but I thought, hey, this is America. Who's going to mess with America, right? I would have got shipped off in August of 2001. So I would have been in boot camp when September 11th happened.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy. I mean, I'm very appreciative for the military, but I'm so happy that I didn't go.
Oh, yeah. Look, our listeners are all dirtbags, and we bleed into a giant Army, formerly Fort Hood, changed its name yesterday. And I know that half of the young kids that are listening this morning, they ended up in the Army the same way you were going to end up in the Army, right? It's not always that's not always the longest dream. You're just like, I can't live at my dad's house anymore. I got to go do something. And I think it's one of the things that works perfectly for you too, because you admit, and you talk about it some in your act as well. I actually love your stories about the Western Sizzlin', because it is prime, and it's pretty much where Bob or Chewy or I would be working if we hadn't found our way into radio. Because you admit, look, you're trash from the mobile home, and you were a drunkard. You got your S cleaned up now, but you were just floating around in the wind, and you were going to be another dirtbag out there.
100%. I mean, I was just for years. I mean, my whole 20s, I got drunk every day at night, and I sold pesticides during the day. You know, I mean, I was breathing chemicals during the day and drinking them at night. You know, I mean, it was a mess.
Do you ever miss the pesticide industry?
I don't necessarily miss it. I do miss sometimes having a job because I want to write jokes about it.
Yeah. It's harder to make fun of something now?
Yeah, well, I don't. You know, I'm just a comic now, right? So I'm like, I'm traveling, and that's why on my Netflix I have 10 minutes of hotel jokes, and then I exhausted that. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to have a job just to make some jokes about it. And there is some stuff I miss sometimes, but I don't miss that job specifically.
Yeah, no. I love some of the stories because you have that very good. You tell it the moment you had when you got some personal finance advice at the Western Sizzlin' about just having a savings account, and how it hit you like a bricks because you're like, yeah, I don't want to have savings because every time I save money, it gets taken away.
Yeah, and then a lady said, well, another waitress goes, well, what would you do if you didn't have that money? And I was just like, it just blew my mind. I was like, oh, you're so right. That's why you have savings, in case you need it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that was great advice, but I'm not saying I held on to it. I mean, it took me a long time to get a savings account.
It takes, I think, a lot of us a long time to learn how to grow up and do the things that we're supposed to. Like, we know what we're supposed to do, but sometimes what you're supposed to do, it doesn't feel nearly as good as what you want to do at the moment.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, I had to grow up. I mean, I'm happy that I didn't make any money until I grew up because, my first pesticide check, it was when banks would get, your check would get deposited, direct deposit.
Right.
And you could check your banking account on the phone. And I called my bank from a strip club to find out that my first pesticide check had gone through, and I wasted most of it that night.
At the strip club.
And for nothing. I got nothing out of it. And it was such a waste. So I'm so happy.
Well,
I quit drinking.
You got nothing, but somewhere in that city, a baby got a new pair of shoes. So there really was some good that came from that check.
Well, that's true. You're right about that. Somebody got something out of it.
Somebody got something. How did you end up moving to Nashville?
In 2014, I'd been sober for 2 years, and I started trying to figure out how to work the road as a comedian. And I'd been given some advice about that. If you Nashville is a great central location of the country, right? So you can hit all of these cities that are in the Midwest, all these cities that are in the Southeast, and a little bit out west within 8 hours. There's so many cities within 8 hours. So I started just driving all over the country doing comedy, and I was like, Nashville really is the perfect location. I think that's probably why the music industry started here. I don't know. But it's so easy to tour from Nashville. That's where all the tour bus companies are at.
A question for you, because Austin, Nashville, they get compared a lot. I mean, they have their differences, but and similarities. But so first of all, let me take you one step back. You got sober because you needed to get sober, right? I guess that's how everybody gets there. But you weren't someone who you made some mistakes along the way.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say there was any tragedies. Nothing real bad happened, but I just kind of was looking at my life, and I was like, I just didn't physically feel good. Things weren't exactly going the way I wanted them to go, even though comedy was going great. I mean, I had just won the local competition in Charleston. I made a little money. I mean, my dating life was better than it should have been for how I looked and how I was acting. But I just didn't feel good overall, and I needed a change.
Well, it could be hard too to make that next step. I mean, we have a lot of friends here in the Austin community, and sometimes comedy, because of the kind of people it attracts, the personality styles, whatever, your life can become, every night almost becomes the same. It's a party, but you're doing great stand up, you're drinking with your buddies, you wake up, you do it again, and sometimes it's hard to focus on it. It's the entertainment business, and sometimes it's really easy to do the entertainment part, but you can forget about the business section as well. Also when you're having to live your days with hangovers.
Yeah, I mean, I had no business sense. I mean, I think if I started selling pesticides again now, I would be crushing it. Because now I understand business. But I had no business sense. I knew how to work hard, but I didn't know how to really work the relationships.
Right. So you get sober, and then you start making some of these better decisions for yourself and focusing on the career.
How do you upsell somebody on a pesticide deal?
Everything's relationship based, right? So
right.
You get to know the store manager. You work it. You go, hey, my product is actually, is it, because we sold kind of the generic brand, right? So I'm like, my product is just as good as the name brand, and you get a higher profit margin off selling my product than you do the other. So why would you not invest more in my product? Because that's where you're really making the money.
You could take the man out of the pesticide sales industry, but you can't take
I was ready to order
sales.
right now. I'm ready to drop an order.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would do. I would stand in the stores and I would sell people my bottles, because they would be looking at, say, the Roundup, and I would go, this one right here is going to cost you a lot less. It's got a higher active ingredient in it. It's going to get it done. And people would get on board, but if they didn't get on board, it would make me really mad, inside. Because I'm like, I just showed you real logic here, and you chose not to take it.
Would you get in fights with these dudes?
I would get in fights with the competition. I got in fights with the Scott's reps. That's what they call. They had Scott's fertilizer, and they had Roundup pesticide. And we would get into fights all the time. I mean, we would. I used to go into the stores, and I would take their displays, and I would break them all down and put them in the overhead, and then I would throw their display shelves in the trash compactor.
Well, I know how business works, and I guarantee you those Roundup guys are taking the store manager to the strip clubs. They've got the marketing budget to do that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's Monsanto money. I mean, they're
Did the Scots guys ever call you out on the street, like just like, hey, you the guy messing up our end caps, bruh? What's happening?
Oh, yeah. I mean, all the time. I mean, I had a thing in Pooler, Georgia. I had a Home Depot where, it was a real war in there. I mean, the store manager, she hated me. She hated me because I would, call her out on her own stuff. She would say she loved the Scots guys. She loved them. So she would say,
don't they always? They always
Yeah,
like the pretty college Scots boys, don't they?
Oh, yeah. She would go, oh, this is their end cap because they built it. And then I found a spot that was a better spot, and I go, well, can I build one right here? And you could see it was just eating her up, but based on her own logic, she had to be like, yes, you can. And then so it was mine because I built it. And then the Scots guys really wanted it. It was eating them up. So they would take my stuff down and put it up there, put their stuff up there. And I would always go get her, and she would be so mad, but she would have to be like, yes, you can have it back. Eventually, she ripped that display case off the wall. She got so mad, she ripped it off the wall and threw it in the trash. I mean, it's insane. It's insane what pesticides do to people. There's a war waging in our Lowe's and Home Depot stores that people don't even know about.
That's the real
War is
soldier
waging.
work is
There's
happening.
a documentary in the works. There's got to be.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you
Pesticide
I was gonna
wars.
say, do you ever watch? Can you ever see a guy when you go into a Home Depot or something that you know is selling the generic brand, and do you have like a camaraderie with him? Do you just like, hey, bro, I know what's up?
Well, when I'm in a Lowe's or Home Depot, if I see the Pesticide, that's the company I work for. If I see them, I'll go talk to them because I know what they're going through. And I still don't like the Scots guys. I mean, there's no reason for me. I haven't worked that job in 11 years. There's no reason for me to not like them, but I still don't. Deep down, I can't buy Roundup. I can't buy those products. It's just they're probably great products, but I can't buy them because because of that war that went on. I can't bring myself to do it.
Hey, we gotta let everybody know, Dusty. You should go check out his stuff. He's prolific online and putting stuff out there. And you're coming to the Paramount, which you've already played. You were here with Bert not too long ago. And it's just an absolutely beautiful theater. It's a great time. It's a great night to go see. And your work, you've actually got a new chunk of time, too, like the what you're working on the road right now, right?
Yeah, I'm about to record a special this Saturday. I'm going to record an hour special. So hopefully by the time I'm in Austin, I'm even doing a different set than what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, because I saw you on a podcast clip saying that you had this new special coming out, so I knew you had a bunch of new stuff that people wouldn't necessarily be exposed to, and they can go see. And tickets are on sale right now. When you come to town, now generally you're probably going to fly in the day of the show, but if for somehow you end up here early, we'd love to have you come in studio as well and hang, because I know that definitely you're right up our listeners' alley, man. You're a great dude. It was easy to talk to, too. We really appreciate it. And even when your special comes out, do me a favor, holler at us. We'll do 10 minutes on the phone, and we'll talk about the new special, and we'll poke some people your way, okay?
Okay, that'd be great. Hey, I really appreciate it. I might come early because I like Austin. I'd like to walk around a little bit, see some music, eat some food. So that would be great.
We know all of the food places that no one's going to tell you about. That is, sometimes I think people have stopped. Some people have stopped listening to our show, and they write to us angrily and say, "I would watch the Food Network if all I wanted to hear about was food." But we talk about food, and that's it, food. And Chewy talks a lot about getting high. That's it. So we'd love to have you come in. Open phone policy. Anytime you want to call Dusty, we got you. Okay. Thanks, bro.
All right. Well, both of those things appeal to me, so I appreciate it.
Fantastic. That's Dusty Slay. You can go check him out. There's a link to all of his stuff that you want to follow on our Instagram account, Matt and Bob FM.